demonstrate kind of what happens at the end of a program review. So typically when you're doing program review, you're looking at data for your program, you know, from the course assessments to just demographic data or course success, or, you know, whatever you look at, drawing conclusions from that, and then you're planning for the future. So today I'm going to show you the planning for the future section. This is where you specify some plans that you have for your program. And then most relevant to this particular training is you enter resources that you might need to execute those plans, albeit to maintain your program or to do something new, or you know, just to improve the learning experience for students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go into that section where you plan for the future and enter your resources. And then Christina will take it from there to kind of show you the resource request forms, etc., after you've entered your resources into this section for program review. Okay, so I'm going to go to the SIP system, and I'm actually here on a different page. So I'm going to go to the page that you'll get to when you actually log into program review. So this is where you'll log in, and if you're an editor for a program review, if you've been added as an editor, you'll typically see a link to your program here, and you can navigate to your program review from there. But otherwise, another way to do it is you just go to the program review tab, excuse me, program review tab, and then you can scroll down to your program and click on the edit button to get to where we're going today. So I'm going to go down to where we do all of our demonstrations, which is this fake program review. And I'm going to click on the edit link. And then the spot where I'm going to go, the spot that's most relevant to today, is exactly what I called it, planning for the future. So over here on the left-hand side, you click on planning for the future. And this is the section of program review where you specify like your future plans and the resources you need to execute your future plans. So let's say, you know, at the end of your program review cycle, or for this particular COB cycle, you're looking to get some things to maintain your program, to keep things up to date within your program. So you might click on this add a new strategy button right here, and you fill out the information. So I'm just going to say maintain my program, and I'm just going to write some stuff in there just so that we can go faster and you all can head off to the rest of your day. And then you link this to various strategic items from our strategic plan, and you click save. And this list is kill all the zombies. We probably should have taken that one out before doing this presentation, huh? You'll see that maintain my program shows up in the list right here. And it's alphabetical order, so that's how you can find it. You scroll down. And you'll see that this strategy is in here, and underneath the strategy, you can click on add a resource to describe the types of resources you would need to execute your plan. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add a resource, and you would give it a title and describe it. And then this is an important part, which is the resource type. So this is going to describe, and Teresa and Christina can maybe describe the logic behind this a little better than I, but this is going to describe sort of the potential funding bucket that your resource gets. And so, oh, Christina's jumping in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to mention that this is very important because for the COB process that we are talking about today, the forms are specifically for IT and technology-based AV equipment or other furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Those are the two types of resources that go into the COB resource request process. All of the other types go into different processes that are not being covered today, such as AOB or staffing.
Gotcha. So if you wanted to submit something for the COB cycle, you would want to select those two types, resource types. And so maybe it's worthwhile, I don't know if somebody can type those two things in the chat so people can have that text version. So you would pick, so for example, other furnitures, fixtures, and equipment, and then you would describe how this supports achieving that particular strategy. In this case, I said, you know, I'm planning to maintain my program, so a description would be something like, this is going to help me operate at my normal capacity to serve students, etc. And then you describe the essentialness. If it's maintenance, it's probably pretty essential. And then describe whether or not it's something that we already have that could be repurposed, or if it's something that's new and needed. And I'll click on save here, and I'll show you what happens after that. So I'm going to go down to maintain my program, and you can see that underneath this strategy, now that resource is listed as something I need to achieve that particular strategy. And if you notice that any of this information is incorrect, you can just click on edit and go back in there and change that information and then click save. Make sure to always click save.
I do want to, if I can jump in for just 1 second, I want to mention that in order for a resource to go forward in the process, the priority for the strategy needs to be set to action expected within 2 years, simply because COB is a 2-year cycle. So things that are 3 to 5 years are not generally going to be part of this upcoming cycle.
Gotcha. So you're talking about A and B here, right?
No, if you,
it
it's on the strategy itself.
Oh, I see.
So the priority, it's, yeah, there you go.
There, okay. So in order for it to go through, this has to be set at 2 years. Thank you for that, Christina. But that's the general process. The other thing that you can do is if you notice that you have resources in here that you've already received, that you don't want showing up in lists or anything like that, you can click on edit for the resource and then go down and you see this status that shows up in the box now. You can actually click on closed, obtain, or just delete if you don't actually want it in there, if it's not something that you didn't really plan to get. Okay, so that's kind of the general process. Just to reiterate, you go into your program review, you click on the edit link, you come to this planning for the future section, you specify a strategy, and that strategy has to be, the priority has to be within the next 2 years for the resources to get ported through. And then you add the resource to that particular strategy. And then the next steps will be submitting resource requests for those particular resources. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Christina to do the rest of that if there are